Hello and welcome to Paper Tuesdays with Michael Dwyer and Marc Halpin. Michael, who's our guest today?
It's about time we had someone on that knows whether it's windy in Rossmuck or if it's wet in Corkagwina. It's Donncha Murchú, our TG Cahir weatherman. How are you, Donncha?
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Donncha, we go way back to the days of UCD, and we'd happen on each other outside the clubhouse when we'd be getting a sneaky meat and two veg dinner there. And now we're all grown up, the nappies are thrown away, and you're off, and you're a year this month telling the people of TG Cahir what the weather is for tomorrow. How does it feel?
It was funny. I was going to say, Michael, it's not the first time you've interviewed me. I don't know if you remember. I think it was after the first freshers match was against DCU. I was pulled aside by Michael and the camera. Myself and Bill Evison.
Oh wow!
Right. The self-proclaimed man of the match that day. But it's great. Like I didn't think then like I'd be doing that. Like I suppose I did Irish in college, and then kind of just was getting involved in like a bit of media work, a bit of radio in college, like there's a radio station with UCD. I was doing a bit with that, doing a bit of volunteering with Irish on the radio, and then gradually kind of got into TG Cahir. A weird way, I was over in America for the year living in Montana, and my girlfriend actually saw a job advertising TG Cahir, so I applied for it, did the interview, and I was in there for about a year, and then got asked to go on the weather then. So hadn't an absolute notion about the weather or anything like meteorological or anything like that. Barely say the word now, but no, it's going grand. Trained us up for about 2 months and kind of thrown straight in.
Wow. Yeah. Reminds me of the great Daithí O'Shea. Have you heard the story of him getting the weatherman job?
I don't know if I heard the story now. Go on, which one is that?
He was actually very similar. He was, it wasn't his girlfriend though. It was his mother who spotted the advertisement. And he was abroad at the time, and he came home because he got an interview. So the mother even lodged the application. So I'm sure you were more independent than Daithí O'Shea, but there you are.
I don't think so. Now we're going the same road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Rosa Tralee next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But like Irish for you, Donncha, it is Donncha, isn't it? You spell it a unique way, but Donncha, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So like Irish for you though, it's a part of how you grew up and everything, like with your school days and everything. And it's a pretty unique perspective given that you haven't come from a Gaeltacht family. You grew up in South Dublin.
Yeah, that's really down to my parents. Like my mum and dad. My dad's actually from Wexford. He's from Crossabeg, and my mum's from Dublin, but her people came from Clare. So there's no kind of Gaeltacht connection there at all. But they were very interested in Irish, and my dad works through Irish. So they brought us up, myself and my sister, through Irish completely, and then went to an Irish secondary school. Didn't go to an Irish primary school now, but went to an Irish secondary school and then into UCD to do Irish. So it's all really down to when you're young. I find I was always interested in it, and my dad and being speaking it at home the whole time, and kind of gave you an insight into it was more than just a school subject. I think a lot of people, they see it at school, they learn Irish at school, it becomes that subject that you associate with school. But I think when you have it at home and when you have it in different areas of your life outside of school, it really helps in college. And college was great for that as well, getting experience doing other things through Irish. So yeah, I suppose it's always been a part. It's always been at home in the family anyway. And I'll probably always be working in Irish in some way anyway.
Yeah. Marc and I have discussed recently. Marc's experience with Irish is more pessimistic.
Right.
You had a good commentary on our poetry experience with. Do you remember we were going through the list of poems that we did when we were in school and the stories?
Oh yeah. Just kind of the what would it be? The overarching theme of the Irish language in school seems to be fairly pessimistic. Like the poems kind of about on Spalpeen Fánach and Gavin and your man who got shot going for his Chinese, and what was the other one? The Page.
Oh yeah.
Cockhamillish, yeah. Mm. But no, not language as a whole. Just kind of the leaving cert seems to be a bit sad.
Yeah, it seems to be always. It's always the way. People think it's easier to write about really depressing, really the worst things possible. There's more more emotion to them or something. But yeah, it is fairly dark. When you think back on it,
it reminds me of Gutubin. If you threw in one of those, that was a classic, wasn't it? In any story,
the key words, the key phrases to put in.
Yeah. Speaking of phrases, you have great experience with the phrases, and you were on TG Cahir's hip little angle there, block.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, you did a great phrase video with I think you're good friends with your man, are you?
Good friends with your man, yeah. He's a Cork man. We did down in, it was kind of a thing that started, like the dialect of Irish that I'd speak would be the Munster dialect. And they did a kind of a series of videos, basically a load of different words from the different Gaeltacht areas around the country. Like, so it was good. And like, I kind of, before doing the video, I didn't really know too many of them. Like, so we just kind of found them. And that was a great thing about even working in TG Car, getting to know a lot of sort of native speakers. Like, you can talk to them, they can give you all these little phrases and give you all these little things that you wouldn't normally pick up in school. Like, so I think once you leave school, it really becomes, when you kind of immerse yourself in the language and in the people that speak the language on a daily basis, and we're brought up with the language, it gives you kind of an insight into, you learn so much more. I've learned so much more since I left college. Now it's in Irish, so many new phrases, new words. So yeah, that was a bit of crack though. Like, I mean, it was kind of, they did a couple of about 5 or 6 videos from different areas. And yeah, it was funny, like, you see it on Twitter and see what people had to say about it. Like,
yeah, what I loved about it was that there were some words that you couldn't really directly translate straight off into English. You know, that's the beauty of language, I'd say.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's in Irish, especially with talking about the weather phrase. Like, we've so many phrases in English, so many rich phrases in English talking about weather, but once you put it into Irish, like, it kind of, it gives another meaning, and it gives you kind of, when you can't translate it into English, like something like bray on the mill na gaoithe or something, like there's like a drop in the breath of the wind. It kind of translates it. You'd never say that in English, but in Irish it kind of makes sense, and it has like a very kind of rich imagery to it. Like, but
would that be like a soft day?
Yeah, you know, when it's kind of, there's a breeze out and you kind of feel it's about to rain. Like, if it's cloudy overhead, you find like, wow, you feel little drops, and kind of, you would never say that in English, but it's nice. It's a nice phrase to have. Like,
that's lovely. Yeah. And it actually reminds me, there's a story in the Kerry Man there that just featured recently. We go through the odd article here, and it comes up about the word for seaweed has far richer meaning in the Irish language. So what is seaweed in Irish? Question one here.
So seaweed in Irish is famine.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's a but there's a couple of words. There's also, like, you probably heard dillisk in English, comes from dillisk. There's famine, dillisk. There are a couple of words for, and it kind of depends on where you are around the country as well. So Bailew famine would be kind of more down in Munster, and dillisk could be up in, and famine, they'd also have famine in Connacht. But it's a real trade out and even living over in Galway now, like, you'd see the lads out collecting seaweed, like, out. It's a real kind of trade. They make soup out of it, make baths out of it and all that kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever had a seaweed bath, but it's a real kind of business for them out there, like, as well, all along the West Coast as well. So it's kind of, it comes up a lot. Yeah, it's a rich word. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in a seaweed bath actually back in August in Sligo, and it was lovely. Now,
did you like it?
I loved it now, yeah, but I'd be into those notions. Anything hippy dippy has
me all over.
Reports,
but I never had one myself, but I heard mixed. Yeah,
the girlfriend thought a hot bath would be as good, but but seaweed anyway. In this article, it was saying about how it's more descriptive, you know, how Irish language words capture the essence of their subject matter in a richer, more descriptive fashion. It says that, you know, the English word does not do justice to Ireland's richest, replenishable, sustainable resource, and it is certainly not a weed. No, the Kerryman is nailing its colours to the mast. But like, I'm sure you agree with that and you understand that because you're living and breathing the language each day.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, and just talking about different weather phrases. Like, even since I started working, I'd be kind of reading a lot of books from Blaskaya, the Blasket Islands, and all those people who'd be, and just picking up different words from words that probably wouldn't be spoken as much, or you wouldn't hear that much these days, but they'd have spoken them frequently, like, and it'd be in the kind of the daily speech back in maybe in the 50s and the 60s. Like, so you come across lots of words like that from different areas, from different dialects, like so many ways to say, you know, it's wintry, or it's raining, and it's lashing, it's teeming down. Like, there are in English as well, but in Irish they're kind of more literal. Like, they have you can imagine you can picture the thing in your head that's happening more. I suppose it's that kind of vivid imagery, like, I find.
Yeah. What do you make of that, Mark?
Yeah, it's
language.
a bit sexier, isn't it? The
Yeah.
Irish language is a bit more romance about it, I think, than the
Yeah.
English.
Have you ever fantasized of telling TG Cahir viewers what the weather is like tomorrow?
No, I never have.
Okay.
It has never crossed my mind.
I used to love the graphics on TG Cahir weather. You know, they give you a sweeping view of the Gaeltacht areas. Do they still do that style? I haven't seen it lately.
They do, yeah. They have the.
Oh, yeah.
They go right around the country, yeah. And like it's harder than it looks. Like I remember at the start, I was terrible at it. Like, 'cause you obviously can't see the blue screen, so I'd be kind of waving my hand in the general direction of the thing. You can be pointed at anything, like, and you'd be going like it looked ridiculous. Like, but you kind of get into it, yeah. But they're good graphics. Like they show, like, I mean, it's funny the way they still have that thing. They've had that for years. When you go around the country, like, it's kind of a nice thing. They don't have it in too many others. But yeah, it definitely takes getting used to anyway, and learning all the official terms. You can't always have the rich idiomatic language. You have to actually learn the actual kind of meteorological part of it, like.
Okay. Yeah. And do you have much of a connection with the audience? Like, because I'm sure it means a lot more. The weather forecast, obviously now we have our apps and all, but I imagine there are parts of the Gaeltacht that probably rely a good bit on your forecast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've been told. You're definitely told if you get it wrong. That's the one thing. Like,
Okay.
Yeah. They'd be onto, like, even in work, you'd go into work the next day, and some of the people would just be, obviously they look at the weather the whole time, and like I remember there was I'm not too bad, but some days you'd be very wrong. Like, I don't know, whatever happens, like, it's just the weather in Galway. It's just so changeable. Like one minute it's absolutely lashing, the next minute it's sunny all the time, and like you can never really predict it fully. Like, but yeah, you're definitely like, and people would be ringing in, and people would be on Twitter is the worst. Twitter would be, because people, never kind of afraid to speak their mind on Twitter. Like, so you'd get comments and stuff like that, but they're all positive. Like, it's only a bit of crack anyway. Like, if you get it wrong or something. But it happens the odd time. Like, but no, it's good though, because I suppose there is a good with TG Cahir, especially on Twitter. Like, they have a big kind of, they're very visible on Twitter. There's a good kind of connection between the viewers and the actual station, which is good as well. I think that's important. Sometimes they feel like they can talk to you a bit, like.
Yeah, and 25 years, a strong history now since its foundation. 25 years this year. Do you feel like you're bringing TG Cahir into the next 25 of sorts? Is that?
Well, I don't know. I suppose like one of the It's nice to be. I suppose it was only the other day. It was only Halloween exactly 25 years ago it was founded. So I suppose there's a bit of a buzz. It's nice that there's kind of something happening. And with Irish now, I think it's a lot more visible these days, especially for young people in college. Like, anything I'd say from when I was in college myself, when we were in college, I think it's even since then it's become more sort of visible and more accessible to people who aren't maybe from the Gaeltacht, like myself. They can, there are so many jobs going in Irish now that maybe there wouldn't have been, say, 5 or 10 years ago even. Like, so I think it's in a great place at the moment, even compared to 10 years ago, I find.
Okay.
Would that have been your goal when you were younger then, to go work within the Irish language?
I think so, yeah. Like, I always wanted to. I didn't actually know what direction I'd go in with the Irish language, because I don't think you really find out until you're in college anyway, like what kind of jobs that are available. But I always knew I wanted to work in the Irish language in some form, like, whether it was radio, TV, or even translating or something like that. So
that does seem to be the case, though, isn't it? Like, it's either kind of media or living a Gaeltacht when it comes to working in Irish. Yeah, it's kind of like you don't really. And then you kind of see, like, when you're in school, you might think, right, with Irish, I'm going to become a teacher or whatever, and like that option is always there. Once I got to college, I think there are a lot of, you're never going to walk straight into a set career, like you would in law or in, medicine or something like that. You're always going to have to spend a couple of years doing loads of different jobs, kind of at the same time, doing little bits of work here and there, and kind of build a portfolio, and then kind of find something you kind of enjoy with Irish. Like, so it's a bit of media, a bit of radio work on the side, and then maybe teach and translate or something like that. So you're going to have to tie all kind of things together. But I think that's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's just getting experience in all kinds of different sort of fields. But yeah, there definitely are more opportunities now, and I think media has helped that a lot. Like, yeah.
And what do you make of the Irish language as a whole? Like, how do you think Irish in 2021, how can it become more widespread, or how can it become more embedded within the population?
I think the fact that it's so accessible now these days, like, I mean, even for young people, and the amount of kind of online platforms that are now based completely about Irish and kind of completely through Irish as well. Just all sorts of different platforms, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, anything like. But I think a lot of young people seeing that, it's a lot easier to relate to that. It's a lot easier to kind of find yourself doing that, to work your way into that sort of work, than it would be to go straight for, say, translating or something like that, something you have to do a master's and go through. I think it's great the way that now people can actually do something through Irish and feel like they're promoting the language, or promote the language really, really easily just by, doing a couple of projects and doing sort of videos, making a radio show, anything like that. So I think even there's a positive attitude now towards people who aren't from the Gaeltacht as well, that maybe some people would have felt there wasn't maybe a couple of years ago. But I really think now that people are being welcomed in, like a lot of people like myself or people who wouldn't be born in a Gaeltacht area are being kind of drawn in a lot more, and there's a lot more sort of warmth to them as well. So I think as a whole, moving forward, I think it's great that there's kind of a young movement of young people there, but also there's also an appreciation of the real rich language as well, which is very important not to lose, because if you lose all the kind of rich language from the Gaeltacht areas, you won't have any kind of base, real like kind of native base for the language. So it's important to have a good mix of both.
Yeah.
Like, what advice would you give to, say, someone like me now who only has a few words and a few basic sentences, like can I go to the toilet, etc., who wants to learn and get better at it? And like, will I have to start going back and like reviewing my Leaving Cert books, or?
I generally don't think so. Like, I don't think you can do any of that. Like, if you have a base, I think it's always the way, like I find with the language, if you've spent so long just sitting in class, just hearing it, it'll always be at the back of your mind. Like, so you'll always remember things as you go forward. And I think the most important thing is just the first probably step is just listening to it as much as possible. Like, if you haven't spoken it in years, I'd be the same trying to learn French and stuff. Like, if I hadn't spoken it in years, I've done it in school, I wouldn't be able to maybe converse or hold a conversation really that well, but you'd kind of understand it. You'd find yourself understanding if it was being spoken. So I think the more you listen, just constant listening to it, immersing yourself in it, and then gradually you kind of find yourself picking up phrases then. And like, it's great if you have someone who you can speak it to. I always find that, like, if you can find someone, two people who maybe would have an interest in learning, but maybe don't have the capability to hold a conversation. If you just have a bit of a conversation, try to have a bit of a regular conversation, because I even find some people say, geez, I'd love to learn Irish, but literally have nobody to speak it to. But if you can find that one person who's like you, who wants to learn, and you can just force yourself to have a 10-minute conversation in Irish, see what you learned today, do a bit of listening, come back in a couple of days, do it again. It doesn't have to be a routine. It can just be kind of just a bit of crack with one to just speak for 10 minutes, make it a bit of a habit. Like, but I think it kind of starts off small like that, and then gradually you just find yourself picking up phrases, and you kind of become more confident with it as well. Like,
that's a great recommendation. Duolingo is actually quite a good app as well for
Irish.
Yeah. I do over lockdown, but and there's no end to it's how you can advance up the ladder of it. You must have been blown away by the language in Montana when you were over there.
Yeah, like, geez, it was a weird, it was a great year, like one of the best years ever. But it was a real culture shock as well. Like, I didn't realize there's such a strong connection in Montana to kind of Cork and that region because of the mines. A lot of people from Munster would have gone over, worked in the mines, but there's a very strong kind of, and in terms of language, it's a very strong Native American population over there, and they've their own languages that are currently kind of, there are only 6 native speakers left of a certain tribe, and but their languages are kind of minority languages under pressure, like Irish would have been as well. But yeah, all the people in my class were all kind of, some of them had Irish connections, some of them would just have picked up the language, just decided, probably just picked a random language and just said, look, Irish sounds cool, like came to the class. And even all the lads on the hurling team, like the hurling team over there are all American, and they were all kind of, a lot of them were taking Irish lessons with me as well. So yeah, it was a strange kind of experience, having been used to teaching Irish to people in Ireland who kind of would have had a bit of Irish, but maybe wouldn't have had the interest in it. Whereas it was a completely new language. There was no kind of mental block or anything, no attitude thing over there to me. It was just completely new language, and they picked it up so quickly because they weren't kind of looking at it in a slightly negative way. Maybe they just they just said it was just a completely new language. And within a couple of weeks, they were picking up phrases, which kind of just goes to show how easy it is if you just really kind of practice a little bit. But
Yeah. When you're doing those, like when you're talking Irish, do you get a better buzz from talking Irish with your mates than English?
yeah, no, definitely, I think so. Like, because it's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's nice. I get a buzz from learning a new phrase that I wouldn't have known beforehand, and then kind of being able to use it then. Because like any language, when you see progress, I think, or like anything, when you see progress, when you see yourself getting better, that gives you a bit of a buzz with anything. So I do get that, and especially in work, like I would have considered myself to have a very high standard of Irish, but then going into work with native speakers, you're just learning the whole time. Like, and like I'd find myself like sometimes even self-conscious, like talking to some of the native speakers, because they're just so fluent. It's just an incredible level of fluency in a language when you think about it. Like when you hear a native speaker and you're trying to converse with them, talking away with them, but I'd still be a little bit self-conscious myself, because I'd know I don't have that level, and all you can do then is just learn from them. So I get a real buzz of having a chat with some of the people in work, learning a few phrases from them, and then being able to use those phrases again. So it's just a learning curve, like, which I get the buzz from. But it's great, like when you're walking around the place chatting away and like with a few of the lads or with your friends, and it's a good buzz, because you feel like you're doing your part a bit, like, is that, you know.
Yeah. There's some great characters as well. Sean Bon Bratnock, he's some bio, isn't he? You like
boyo, right? his son is the manager of our hurling team as well, like, and he's some boy as well.
Oh,
but
right.
yeah, Carha. But I know they're a great family, like, and in terms of Irish, just unbelievable level of Irish as well, like, and lots to be learned. But yeah, Sean Bond's a good man.
Yeah, I admire how, you started off, as you said, with Belfield FM, but you also did like the odd show with Radio Nalifa, and you were in college, you were always focusing on the Irish and bringing it with you rather than just being led along by the classes. You were paving the way, and then bang, you're a weatherman. There's a lot to be said for continually improving it and giving up your time and seeing where it can take you.
I think so. Yeah, I think with Irish, you can go very far, but it doesn't take a lot to go far if you kind of embrace every opportunity. Like, you can't go in, you can't have kind of closed-minded approach of, I want to be, I want to present, I want to read the news on TG Carr. Like, if you start off like that, I don't think you're going to get anywhere. You have to do so many others. You have to just literally try anything. You like Belfield FM or Radio Nalifa is great because it's voluntary as well. So you go in and you can just basically talk about whatever you want in Irish, and little bits like that. You just have to keep trying little bits, trying your hand at different things, and then eventually you kind of, you're given. Once you get seen, I suppose you're given a little bit more, and then you kind of get more experience, and then you can try your hand at different things. So I think it's all about just being open-minded, because of the fact that you're never going to walk into a career or walk into a set thing. Like, but yeah.
I see behind you there is a map of South America.
Oh, yeah. Nothing to do with Irish. Yeah.
Do you plan to bring the Irish language to Brazil?
That's the goal. Like, no, that's the yeah. No, we got that.
You must be big into travel, like.
Yeah, we would. Like, I remember when, like, after my year finished in America, we went down to South America for a while. That's where I got the map. Yeah, but did a bit of traveling around there, and I went to Bolivia, went to Peru for a couple of weeks, then came home. So I was after the kind of the full year in America. But yeah, like, it's funny. And again, with Irish, I remember we were down in Bolivia, like, doing a tour through the desert, and you just kind of, you hear, it's as if you can hear an Irish speaker, coming from, I don't know how, you just hear the language instantly, it stands out, and you just come across people like completely out of the blue who have Irish, just Irish people traveling all around the place, like. And it's strange. I suppose the whole thing is when you're abroad, you come across people kind of, when they go abroad, they realize, like, when I suppose it's more when you kind of get assumed that you're English, if you go to France or Spain or somewhere and they say, oh, where are you from, England? And then everyone's like, oh, fuck it. Like, but then you realize, actually, like, we actually do have our own language, we have our own identity, and it's great. And that's when people actually realize, we actually have something special. We better start speaking our own language because, we're different. We don't want to be seen like, people from England or people from America or whatever. Like, so I think that's when people realize the kind of the pride comes into it. Like some people, yeah, but it's great. Like you can kind of you hear it and you're instantly got something to talk about. So.
That reminds me of in the video you had the Irish for yank, and I thought it was a brilliant word. Can you give it to us?
Yeah, punkánach.
No one ever wants to be a punkánach.
No. It was funny that time because he had a couple of Americans kind of sharing the video and saying things like, oh, I guess I'm a punkana. Like, you've learned a new word, innit? Like.
But you've commented a lot on how you just remain open-minded and you get noticed. Well, you got noticed recently with your big gong. Do you have it there with you? Your Oireachtas Award.
I have it up there, all right. Yeah.
I look. Can you get it down, Mark? You have to look at this. It's better than the Golden Cleric Award.
yeah. You've seen her as we flame, yeah.
Beautiful.
Isn't it, Joe?
Yeah. It's very small. You wouldn't be drinking much out of that now if you had it.
Over restricted.
Yeah. No. Again, I wasn't expecting that one at all. It was just the other night. But
that was Réalton na Óga.
Yeah.
Got the award. What was that for?
It was kind of for. It was the category was Réalta Óg na Bliana. So I suppose you have to be. It was the kind of young broadcaster of the year, I suppose, but it was done by popular vote and had a very, very effective campaign team working in the farm of my mother, my friends, and so
that must be a special achievement, though, Donncha, to have made your mark. And
it was great to get I mean, it was just delighted to be nominated in the first place. I mean, I knew the other people who were nominated as well, and they're all just everyone's kind of unique in their own way, like. But Jesus, it wasn't. It was great. It was great to win it again. But I'd say everyone was being, like I say, the votes were being dragged out of people. If I shook hands with them maybe 5 years ago, they were contacted and told to vote. Like so, it was. It was brilliant to win it.
Brilliant. How have you found relocating from Dublin to? Are you living in Galway City or whereabouts?
I'm in the city. Yeah, I'm in Knocknacarra, which is Knocknacarra, just west of the city. So on your way out to Connemara, but still Galway's it's very small. Like you'd be 15 minutes and you'd be in middle of town. Like but no, it's brilliant. Like I don't know if you spend much time over in Galway, like, but it's great. It's a great city, like great crack, like, and it's a different pace of life as well. Like just when you're used to Dublin. And then you move over to Galway, like everything's a lot more laid back, like especially during the summer. And like it's very easy going, the whole city. The people are lovely. And you're very near the countryside as well, which I love as well, like, because I always miss being kind of near the countryside in Dublin. But
you seem to be a right man. Oh, sorry, you seem to be a right man for travelling. You like getting to hidden places in the wilds of nature. That's according to your Instagram title. Would that be fair to say?
I know. I think it would. Like, it's a lot easier living over here as well because you're never too far away from a hike or something out in Connemara. But great. Like especially over lockdown when you could kind of get out. That was a big thing over lockdown. When you're over when I was in Dublin, it was a lot harder than when I was over in Galway because 2 kilometers in Dublin, you'd barely get to the end of, to the start or whatever, the gates of the housing estate kind of around. Whereas in Galway, you have the fields and you have like just a lot more. You have the sea as well, really nearby, which just gives you a lot more freedom. So I definitely spent a good bit of time over here now in lockdown. But,
and have you brought your hurling with you? Have you moved clubs?
I moved clubs, hurling with Micheál Branagh out in Indravan. So they're out about maybe 20 minutes west out towards TG Card. So out in Connemara. But we've got Sean Bond's son Cork managing us this year. Yeah, we actually have county final now on Sunday. It is.
Oh, right.
So that. But it's great. Like it's great to get. Like it's a great way to get to know a new group of people as well. It's like if you hurled abroad or if you played anything abroad or get involved with a team, you're instantly kind of feel part of the area or wherever you're kind of over in America or wherever you are. Like, great way to get to know people, new friends and stuff. But no.
Yeah. What have your biggest learning experience been over the last few years, would you say, Donncha?
Over the last few, I'd say, I think probably when I was in college and the whole thing of not expecting to walk straight into the career you want or into the job you like was a big thing for me, because when you were with maybe a lot of my friends in college would have been doing law or would have been doing different courses, and they'd very much have goals set ahead of them for 10-year plans, maybe 5-year plans, going to London to have achieving this, achieving that. And a lot of them would have achieved them by now already, and they'd be doing brilliantly. They're all doing brilliantly. But I think it was just always going to be a bit different for me with Irish, working in the kind of doing what I like to do in Irish, in that you're never going to have a set career for a while. It takes a while to kind of settle down. So I think the best thing is just you have to learn to just kind of trust the process a bit, and like kind of try your hand at different things, get as much experience as you can, and then the opportunity will come and you get to apply for something you actually like and you get to do something you like. I mean, even at the minute, the weather it's a panel job. It's not a full-time job. So like it wouldn't be enough to just do the weather. So I have to do different things. So it's still not a set career at all. So I'm still learning it, but I think I'm actually comfortable with that now, that it's not, a set career, that I'm not going to be, full-time weatherman or something like that. It's kind of doing different bits, kind of you're happy doing different bits and taking your time with things. So I think that's something you don't always realize when you're coming out of college. If you finish final year, there's kind of a bit of a panic that you have to, find something quickly, but you really don't. I think the best thing is just to take a step back and take your time and do things you enjoy. And I suppose that's probably my biggest learning curve anyway.
Do you recognise that, Marc?
It's a good one, yeah, because as he was saying, like, not that it's a negative thing, but say someone goes and finishes a law degree and then they're stuck in a law job they don't like, they get 2 years into it and say, oh fuck, I don't like this. That's your degree, like, you're stuck with it. So it is good in that regard to be kind of open and not be tied down to one particular field.
Yeah. But I think sorry, Michael, go on.
No, you go ahead.
All I was just saying, it even takes a bit of bravery to say, if you have done a law degree and you find out, look, I really don't like law, to be able to say, look, I'm not going to go bother continuing with the law degree. I'm going to go back do something else, or like, and sometimes you might have to do that, but it does take bravery. But obviously, it's harder to do when you've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, reminds me of Carl Jung has a quote: "If the part ahead of you is clear, then it's someone else's." So if it's going to be personal, it's not going to be clear all the way. If you were Donncha, a random question that we've recently brought to Paper Tuesdays: if you've been charged as now TG Carr's weatherman, you've been given the power to create a new clip for the Angelus, and they're going with a 60-second TikTok style. So instead, we'll leave the dancing routine till later. But what content are you putting in this TikTok?
Jeez, I don't know. I was racking my brains, and I think something. So the 60-second clip for the Angelus, is it just to throw it?
Yeah. So we've had baking bread, but we need to move it on. We need to bring it up into the 21st century. We have had pausing and looking and pondering. Is there an action-packed Donncha or Murchú about to leap onto the screen, or what do we think?
I don't like. I was first. I was thinking, like the Angelus is a nice time to kind of, take a minute and rest and maybe listen to some music or something. But then, I don't know, sometimes you'd feel at that time of day, you kind of, one of those really threatening, one of really like forceful, like TikTok to say, right, put down your screen, get up and move and play something really inspirational, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably what I go for. Just sometimes you need a bit of a kick, like move now.
Yeah.
Get outside, go for a run, go for a walk, move yourself, step up, put down the screen. Something like that. I don't know if I'd be the one to deliver it now, like job someone else, but something along those lines, I'd say.
It's kind of like those car ads. It's almost 6 o'clock. It's time you got a car or whatever. Well, instead of I kind of like, instead of selling a car, you're selling dreams and ambitions. I like it, Donncha. What should I ask you that I didn't know enough to ask, Donncha?
Jeez, there's another one. I don't know what else to ask. Jeez, I don't know, Michael, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I think I've talked about, I don't know if you left anything out, Michael, like either you, like, I think it was great.
Right.
I don't is there anything else you'd like to know?
Well, what is one of the most underappreciated things that you think deserves more credit?
I was kind of thinking, this was kind of similar because I was also thinking like a trait that's kind of it seems like a real basic one, but just the whole process, just kind of being very kind of laid back. I suppose talking back about the core or the what we talked a minute ago about trusting the process and that kind of thing. I think that's a good trait. Someone who's able to kind of settle everything down, and if someone's just settle everything down and say, look, everything's fine, kind of that kind of a reassuring kind of a trait, I think is always good. Something that I would have needed sometimes as well. When you're younger, when you're studying, when you're stressed about something, it's always valued. Someone who can say, look, take a step back and point out the positive things, and it's not all doom and gloom. And look at this, and this. You've done this, you've done that. Just keep going, work in that direction, and something will come. So someone, I suppose, who can be just instantly reassuring, calm everything down, and kind of let you see the positive things and move on, I suppose. In my opinion, anyway.
That's a beautiful answer, Jonathan. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad.
Brilliant. We have this thing called flash flood, Donncha. And yes, let me just find this now. One moment. Oh, yes.
Donncha wouldn't have been part of James'
Oh,
crew,
actually, James Flood. Did you ever come across him up in UCD?
I think I did. I think I did. There was a lot of Wexford lads around when I was in first year. Yeah, I think I might have. Yeah, I think I might have at some stage. I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
Let's see if you remember his voice and his dulcet tones. One moment.
I said I was going to do something on cancel culture. I've changed my mind. I'm shaking it up. We're not doing cancel culture. I'm going to say my piece about the Gorrad going up and down the street in Borey there. There was a young lad got a bit of a trimming a few weeks ago outside the Bank of Ireland or the Ulster Bank or one of them. And nothing done about it. And where's the guards? Why is there guards going up and down the street the whole time? Not enough money is one of them, but my question is, are the guards too scared? The station, eating chips. Guards need to be getting out there on the beat and sorting it out. Bring back the days when the local sergeant would give you a toe in the hole and you'd be sitting on your way. That'd be it. You can't do that anymore. That poor guy with the ash down, I don't know whatever happened to him that time he got his big stick out and hit your man a few taps. But we need more of that. We need to be able to hit these lads a few taps and quieten them down and send them on the way. Professional nuisances. You have. That's all them lads are, them junkies. Professional fucking nuisances. Give them a good fucking beating and they won't be as long about going away and getting off the street and making lively then.
Holy shit.
Wow. That's the best one ever. Oh, we have another one there. Yeah. But let's look at halftime Sunday game. Sit down now. Are the guards too scared, Donncha?
Are the guards too scared? I don't.
It's all right. Don't get yourself in trouble here.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever wanted to give someone to toe in the hole?
So many questions.
Probably many times though. Yeah. Many times. I can't blame them. Sometimes though. Do you know? Sometimes though, maybe you can't blame them. The guards for being scared. I'd say sometimes I'd be fairly scared now if I was a guard, and if I had James Flood now coming after me now.
Yeah. Threatening a few taps. Now we have a part two. Now this could go anywhere, but let's see what comes.
The Yanks had a great saying one time, and it was a great approach they took to the world of speaking softly and carrying a big stick. We need more big sticks and less cameras, and just let the guards go and do their job. They need to let them to fight them down. Let him do it. He won't be as fond of fucking this anti-social belligerency. Let him at it, I say. Let him on. And we'd have a better Ireland.
A better Ireland.
Less drugs and all that carry on if the guards were able to go after them lads without fear of being put up on Facebook and Twitter and God knows what else is out there now.
Wow.
Never mind the war on drugs, just give the guards a big stick.
Yeah. He'd get would be a good few votes going from now around Wexford now if he was to stand there.
He knows he knew him all right. Yeah. That's flood. That's flood, Donncha. He's ready to take over the country. Yeah. He's bringing in big sticks and bringing back the few taps. Well, I tell you what, that's it. Flash flood. We love him.
Yeah, he stole the show there. That's been his best one in a while now.
Yeah. Fair play to him. Fair play to you, flood. We've one article. Actually, we have a parish of the week. That's what we do here, and I have a great story for parish of the week. So, do you remember Jackie Weaver, guys?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So Hanforth Parish Council, they've looked at Mark Zuckerberg there last week, and they've decided that they're going to change their name to move on from the viral row that erupted from Jackie Weaver. So because of their toxic past, they've decided to move on, and so there won't be any more mention of that No Authority Here mentioned there back a few months ago. So the new name, we don't actually have the new name. Maybe there's a competition at the moment, but no, they've just decided they need a new name. So
right.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, actually, Hanford Town Council instead of Hanford Parish Council. Well, that's
that covers it.
That's the new name.
Yeah, that's the new one.
Problem solved.
Yes. Well done. That's our parish of the week, and the new parish, they can accept that title anyway, so they'll get the title in the post. We do this thing also, Donncha, where we take a leaf out of Roy Keane's book and we have a look at it. So, would you like to read?
Do the read, sure.
Yes, Donncha, would you like to pick a page between 1 and roughly 200? Mark's just landed on a pretty photo there.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of young lads running around in shorts.
1 and 200, is it?
Yeah.
165.
65, right. There was a lot of head shaking. How could this happen to us? Shit in the dressing room afterwards. The last thing footballers will do is look at themselves. Yet sometimes, no always, that's where the answer lies. If you're good enough, and here in terms of ability we were, defeat is usually down to yourself. Not the referee, or luck, or deflection, comforting though all those excuses are. This is where the real pros, the likes of Brian Robson, Steve Bruce, or Dennis Irwin, are invaluable. They know where to look for answers. The gaffer knows as well. That's why he's accomplished what he has.
It seems like every page we turn to, it's always, the answers are fucking clear and grow up, and if you're not good enough, you better get good enough. And do you find that, or?
Yeah, it definitely is. He's never happy. That's what I say every time I read it.
It's such a great attitude to have, though. I think just this is the way it is. This is it. Just speak so clear. It's great to watch as well. I think is the main thing.
Yeah, he does have that aura about him, but he lighten up Roy all the same. I think he'd be better.
Flood's a nice little warm up into Roy Keane, isn't he? We started off with ourselves going, you should kind of relax and not be too hard on yourself, and then into Flood, and then into
disagree with everything I just said. Yeah.
Donncha, the very best of luck to everything in the future. Mark, any closing thoughts?
No, thanks a million, Donncha, for that. That was great.
Thanks, lads. No, thanks a million for having me on.
Cheers, Donncha.
Cheers.
Talk to you soon.
Good luck.